vibing in here this morning. Got the radio on, just gonna do a news video. Welcome to the news. As was great again said, good to see Pat working on his weaknesses. Actually, speaking of Pat Vellner, before we get into today's news video, Story Hive, the YouTube channel behind last year's Brent Fikowski's All-In documentary series, where he went around and asked,
do you know who Brent Fikowski is?
Fikowski?
Yeah, CrossFit guy.
I do not.
Oh, okay, all right.
They are back this year with another series, and this year they are covering Pat Vellner himself.
Flattered that people think I have the lines for figure skating.
Link to episode 1 will be down below. Something that made me laugh over the last couple of days is you guys on this channel want to see more Orr. More Shane Orr. Well, here's Shane Orr in different situations. Here's Shane Law, here's Shane Snore, Shane wants some more, and here's Shane as Thor. And actually, quickly speaking of Thor, I saw it on the news this morning, Natalie Portman has been selected to play Thor as a woman version in a new up-and-coming Marvel movie. Over the last couple of weeks, if you did miss it, Matt Fraser was on the front cover of Men's Health magazine. A couple of things from this front cover stood out to me. One, the way he's holding the barbell. I don't think any time in any gym, anywhere in CrossFit, Matt Fraser would have held a barbell like that behind his back. Two, it's kind of strange to see the words lean and toned just on the front cover of Fraser. Just two words I'd never ever think I'd hear him say. But it is epic to see Fraser on the front cover of a fitness magazine. He is the epitome of hard work pays off, and if there's someone that people should look up to as a role model, as someone that just puts in hard work and goes after what he wants, it's gonna be him. However, it does also say on the front cover fast, and it's a 28-day plan to get Beachbody ready. We all know it doesn't take 28 days. In other news this year, again, Roman Krenikov has been denied his visa to enter the USA, so he will not be at the CrossFit Games. This has happened now 2 years running. However, this does mean that Connor Duddy, who finished 8th at the Dubai Fitness Championships this year, does get the invite. It's actually been pretty crazy this year to look at some of the sanctioned events and see where people finished in those sanctioned events and qualify from them. I believe only David Shrunke and Drew Wyman finished on a podium at a sanctioned event this year and didn't get an invite to the CrossFit Games. In the good old debate between the Reebok Nano 9s and the Metcon 5s, I've been testing them out now for the last couple of weeks. I still think the Metcon 5 is a better training shoe, but the Nano 9 is just a good looking shoe and it's just easy and nice and it's fine. Over the last couple of days, we've seen some new colorways and they look epic. White with gum is incredible. That's like my favorite shoe. The other two are okay. And then these red Metcons, I know they wouldn't go with a lot, but they look unreal. This year's CrossFit Games season has gone ridiculously fast, team, and it's now under 2 weeks until the CrossFit Games starts. And Rich Froning Sr. has been spotted on his way to Madison already. Getting a pump on. It's basically not long until we as CrossFitters and the community start flocking our way to Madison. I didn't even know this was a thing, it was just kind of on the internet. People racing in T-Rex suits, like that looks a lot of fun. Maybe CrossFit Games Event 1. And if you're coming to the CrossFit Games from around the world, do try and stop off at Singapore's Changi airport and get a video of this slide for me because it looks incredible. A slide in an airport. Jazz famously says, when do you ever get to the bottom of a slide and not smile? This is very true. But anyway, speaking of this year's CrossFit Games, it is going to be a little bit different. One, we have a lot more athletes this year than any other years. We have 148 males and 134 females taking to the field for event 1. This takes me on to part 2. We are going to see a few drastic cuts to that field over the first couple of events. Over the past years of the CrossFit Games, we've had 40 athletes take the field and we've stuck with them throughout the whole weekend. This time round, Dave Castro sneaked it onto his Instagram first and then it got made official by CrossFit second. We're going to see that field drastically cut after event 1, where the field gets narrowed down to 75, which basically means we lose half of the athletes after event 1, then down to 50, 40, 30, 20, and then 10. Basically meaning we'll just have a top heat towards the back end of the weekend. And looking at the team side, we're going to have 15 teams start, and at the end of that weekend, we're only going to be seeing 5 of them. That's mental. A couple of thoughts came to my mind actually about this first event of the CrossFit Games. Are they going to make it super CrossFit, put some good gymnastics in, make it a good 10 or 20 minute domain, maybe put a heavy barbell in, weed out the people that aren't so good at what we would call typical CrossFit? Or are they just gonna put a mass start event like a run, swim, run, something super simple, because if you are the fittest on earth, you should finish in the top 75, and just weed out the field that way? However they're gonna do it, it's gonna be interesting, and Dave Castro is gonna be a part of it. A good point was brought up by the Morning Chalk Up about these cuts. Basically the question being, at the end of the weekend, will they increase the points gap between placements so it puts a larger emphasis on the last events? And this has now been answered. For 150 athletes, 75 athletes and 50 athletes, the scoring really doesn't change, with a 2-point drop off between each placement. But as we gradually go throughout the weekend and move from 40 athletes to 10 athletes, the points gap does get bigger. And looking at the table when there's only 10 athletes left, finishing second in an event is like finishing 6th when there was 150 athletes. Finishing third in an event is like finishing 11th. And if you place 10th out of that field of 10, it's like finishing 65th out of 150 athletes. Over the last couple of years, with the field being 40 athletes, it's allowed for a bit of chop and change, a couple of specialists to come in, knock a couple of points off people. But really, if you're in that top 10, you're gonna have to be super consistent and be around the top 3, because dropping 10 or 20 points per event is a huge amount. And as the teams narrow down, the points difference gets even bigger. When there's only 5 teams left at the end, the points drop off is 25 per placement, meaning one 5th place finish out of 5 will get you 0 points. It's gonna make the weekend of competition super interesting, but also for us as spectators towards the end of the weekend, it's gonna be crazy. It's just, you're gonna be watching a top heat after top heat into top 5 teams. It's gonna be mental. And unless someone really runs away with it at the start of the weekend and creates a huge points gap, it's really gonna come down to the end of the weekend. In other news, things that I found interesting on the internet, this is that was in my bedroom. I would sit and watch that for hours. Another thing that I noticed when browsing the CrossFit Games website is that they are sponsored by Porsche this year. Does that mean that the winner gets a Porsche? In Sanctioned event news, we've just had the announcement that the French Throwdown, the Norwegian Throwdown, the Reykjavik CrossFit Championships, and Strength and Depth have all opened up a couple of spots to people that participate in the Open to qualify for their event. Meaning that if you do the Open and you place well, you can qualify for these events out of it, rather than having to do specific qualifiers, which I think is great for athletes so they don't burn out throughout the year. And I'm sure we'll see that list grow. A random fact that you're gonna like and that I liked, and that again I saw on the internet, isn't it weird that we only have one hand that knows how to do everything and then the other hand just sits there like, I don't know how to hold a pencil. I don't know if I could write with my left hand. We've seen the news that WIT now has taken over the CrossFit store. What was once run, I believe, by Reebok has now moved to Whatever It Takes Fitness, and they will be relaunching the store in the coming days in the US, Europe, and the rest of the world. This basically means they'll be merging the CrossFit store and the CrossFit Stuff store into one platform, so you'll be able to purchase all of your CrossFit merchandise, Reebok apparel and footwear, a new wider collection of all your favorite CrossFit brands, all in one place. Speaking of brands, we've seen a lot of the Nike athletes get their package from Nike of the CrossFit Games colorway, black and gold. Looks good. We've also had the announcement that Tia is now Noble. A lot of you guys already knew that from the videos. You could see her rocking it, but now it's been made official.
I am Noble.
Here is a fail of a sign here in the UK on the underground. That is savage. That is unbelievably savage. And if you're watching this channel, you probably do like heavy lifts, and not usually from me, but from me showing you heavy lifts, and here is a couple of them. First off, we're going to start with a 221 kilo snatch, the world's heaviest recorded snatch. And I'm going to say it here, he made that look super easy. We've seen probably the world's heaviest thruster at 200 kilos. And then you guys know that I love watching this guy lift and just marvel at how strong he is for a CrossFitter. Bronislav, the guy that did a Turkish get up with the air bike, is now back at it with snatches. He did a touch and go triple snatch at 130 kilos. And then he just went and topped it again on top of that with doing a double at 140, 308 pounds. The amount of actual CrossFitters that could snatch 140, not very many, and he's just done it for a double. I don't know how he controls it down to the floor, it would break me in half. Going away from CrossFit for a second, here's an Instagram that you need to follow. It's called Earth Pics. They do incredible pictures that just like make you jealous and make you want to go places, here is a house in Bali that looks incredible. It's got a pond on the top floor. The only thing that is missing is a slide. And then to end this vlog, here is something to make you smile. If Tony Hawk was a dog. But anyway, team, thank you for tuning in on today's video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, as always, please do smash that like button, share it with friends, family. Let us know what you think about the cuts down below. Honestly, I kind of feel bad for the athletes that just turn up and they're going to be there for one event because it's going to cost them a fortune, and then, you know, you get to be on the floor for 20 minutes, but then they get to call themselves a CrossFit Games athlete. Let us know down below in the comments if you are going to be at the CrossFit Games. Jazz and I will be there. I think we land in Madison on like Tuesday. Hope to hang out with as many of you as possible and just have some fun watching some adult PE. Still got 3 or 4 videos from Cookville to come, some super cool ones like a full training day with Tia, which was absolutely epic. That woman, honestly, I've never seen someone train with such intensity with back-to-back workouts. I don't know how she does it. So stay tuned for that, but on that note, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me on a Sunday. On a Sunday.
I told you if we dance